Welcome to Pump Up the Jam, the latest from Meghan Markle's American Riviera Orchard and whatever country she's taken ownership of today. I'm Kinsey Schofield.
And I'm Cristo. Yes, this will be our weekly deep dive into, the two people that always complain and always explain about every aspect of their poor, poor, poor lives. Of course, Harry and Meghan. And how are you, Kinsey?
I'm good. How are you, Cristo?
Oh, I am raring to go. And, we should start really with their very, very unroyal tour, shouldn't we? Because they're not royal. Remember, when they've gone to Nigeria, they're not royal.
I mean, you say that, but everyone consistently called Meghan Princess Meghan throughout the trip. So I don't think they got the memo.
I think the only memo that they got was, woe betide you, you'll be in a Nigerian prison if you don't refer to her as princess or duchess as soon as you meet her. That will be the memo that was sent round.
Oh my goodness. Well, actually, I have some friends in Nigeria, thanks to social media, that 2 weeks ago sent me a flyer that was circulating about the polo event. And it was interesting because it said Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And I responded to her and I said, wow, I'm surprised that they would approve a flyer that said Meghan Markle and not Duchess of Sussex, because Meghan is very specific about not wanting to be referred to as Meghan Markle. She wants to be called Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. And she didn't respond immediately, but a few days later, she sent me the updated flyer and she said, I think they got the memo. And it was Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. And the verbiage had changed. And I thought, that is just classic Harry and Meghan. Somebody saw that and said, we do not approve, give it a facelift and give it a title change.
And give that person 50 lashes.
No, horrible, horrible. But I mean, you make a really good point. Meghan and Harry act as if they are here to fight for the little guy, that they want to fight for anybody that feels victimized. And the reality is they are in a country where there is such a long list of human rights violations that occur on a regular basis, whether it's child brides, childhood labor, like children working that are too young to be working. I mean, even the mutilation of children. I mean, the list goes on, and Meghan just wants to sit on a stage and talk about how courageous and brave and beautiful she is, instead of being like, if I'm really a feminist, I need to talk to you guys about some stuff that's going on here that I don't agree with.
But are you telling me she didn't bring up the numerous human rights abuses in Nigeria? But hang on, she's not royal, so she can now. There's absolutely nothing stopping her and Harry doing so. They are no longer members of the royal family, so surely they can quite openly criticise these sorts of things with no problems whatsoever. Or is it that they're just enjoying the fact that the red carpet has been rolled out for them and that this worldwide publicity tour, privacy tour, should we say, is all a part of raising their profile so that they can sell us tat like jam, tea towels, china, teapots, or whatever other nonsense they want to try and sell us when they get back to the States? I think I know the answer, and so do you.
Right. I mean, and a lot of locals very irate over the fact that so much money was being spent on making sure Harry and Meghan had a good time and were safe, but for making sure Harry and Meghan had a good time when there's such poverty. The optics aren't great, but I'm not seeing a lot of media discuss this. All of the media I'm seeing are Meghan looks glam, another shoulderless number for Meghan, and all of the headline. I mean, they've done a really good job of focusing the attention on what Meghan's wearing, how glamorous Meghan is, how beautiful Meghan is, versus the fact that they're in this country that, you know, the violence against women is ridiculous. And I mean, the list goes on, and what are they doing there? I mean, they don't have to go put on the show to ensure the Invictus Games are going to be held there. It's a no-brainer.
Well, that is the question. I can't help every time I see the footage of just thinking, why? Why are you actually there? What is this tour for? If you were going there to sort out the Invictus Games, well, that is great. We can get behind that. I mean, let's be honest, none of Harry's family are remotely interested in the Invictus Games after he got the money from William to set it up, of course, and he invited them all to the service that was held for Invictus Games. None of them showed up. So you can understand why he'd want to try and sort of drum up some interest in the Invictus Games, and fair play to him for that. But you're quite right. I don't understand why they need this whole sort of bells and whistles tour in order to do that. It does feel just like ego feeding, and it is as royal a tour as you can get for non-royals. And for two people that didn't want to be part of the royal family, why are they doing a tour that resembles in every way possible a royal tour? It makes no sense. Unless, of course, as we said, it's to keep that royal connection going in order to monetize their lives, which is all that matters to them.
When it's the only way they're capable of doing it. Yeah, to reiterate what you just said, the royal family won't give them the time of day anymore, so they have to completely cosplay a royal family type exercise to remind people that they're in some way, shape, or form connected to the royal family, because King Charles is like, nuh-uh, we're not going to play your game.
Well, he didn't even take the time to
I'm going to correct you there. Because
Harry,
now I've heard from several people that the king was not formally approached by Prince Harry's team to initiate a meeting. And the king did approve Prince Harry staying at a royal residence. So we've all gone off on this tangent because we've taken Prince Harry and his team's word for the fact that the king refused to see Prince Harry. But Team Charles is saying no formal invitation was sent. They were not invited to the Invictus event. And this is Harry just trying to drum up sympathy because his popularity is declining. What do you have to say to that? I mean, multiple people have now told me from the king's camp that invitation never happened.
That's really interesting, but also it's a little bit disappointing because I really thought that the king had put his foot down, or maybe those people around him saying, look, this is a man who has been extremely unwell, is still undergoing treatment. Why would you want the stress of having Prince Harry, as much pleasure as you might get out of seeing your son? Why would you want this stress of your meeting ending up being a conversation on Good Morning America the next day, which is, of course, what happened last time? Or
Good Morning Nigeria.
Yeah, Good Morning Nigeria. Exactly. That's exactly what the risk is. Unless, of course, there were non-disclosure agreements flying around, in which case then that's probably something that I would entertain. So if the king didn't put his foot down in that way, and this is all, well, firstly, it wouldn't surprise me it was all a PR move on Harry and Meghan's part, because, they are the king and queen of that. And that's the nearest they'll get to king and queen as well, remember? However, that does disappoint me a bit, because I thought that the king was showing a bit of backbone there in saying, look, my health is more important than the stress you will bring to my doorstep. And I think it is more important.
Well, that is one of the reasons that was given, that the king, obviously the king, they said the king is never going to be, obviously he's not going to endorse this rebel, like revenge-fueled fake royal tour. Obviously not. But at the same time, it's like, why does Prince Harry keep pushing his father, bringing such negativity around his dad, when his doctors are still advising him to take things as slowly as he's mentally capable of, because he wants to go, and the doctors are saying physically, we're going to give you the okay, but you still need to be conscious of the fact that you're not 100%. And does Harry, does he not care? Like, does he not care?
That's an interesting point, because either side puts Harry in a bad light. If Harry was refused, because either scenario could be true. So if Harry was refused time with his father and he did make the request, well, that makes Harry look like such a troublemaker that his own father doesn't want to see him. If Harry didn't put the request in, but their side put out this message that he was snubbed by the royal family, poor Harry, then you're quite right. Then he's putting his cancer-stricken father in a bad light in order to garner sympathy for himself. Either one is a really, really bad play from a PR point of view, and either one puts Harry in a bad light. Listen, can we just go back to Nigeria? Because I do want to talk about some of Meghan's outfits. Can we do
Sure.
that?
Yeah.
Because, she's been very, very glamorous. There was some controversy. What do you think about the off-the-shoulder number that she wore to the school? Because I did see Angela Levin discussing that, saying actually this was a very, very conservative school. Many of the women in this school all cover up, the teachers cover up their shoulders because it is a very strict Muslim regime in that school. And actually, there were lots of raised eyebrows from the fact that she decided to sort of go along in practically beachwear.
Okay, so I did get a message about this from Melinda. She says, "Good afternoon, Kinsey. I follow you quite regularly on YouTube, but I am not one who makes comments on social media. However, I have traveled around the world as a photographer and have always taken the time to study and be mindful of local customs. It is extremely inappropriate for a female to be sleeveless in an African country. If Meghan truly understood her heritage, she would be respectful of its customs. I was thanked by my guide after 3 weeks in Africa for being respectful with my clothing choices. I don't have words for the level of disrespect she is showing in this country." So obviously, that is a topic of conversation that a lot of people are debating, whether or not her clothing was appropriate. And that's one of the perks that comes with having a team at the palace that does this research for you. Remember when Meghan used to step off a plane with those big binders that somebody had put together for her of, what the etiquette was of the country she was visiting. Those are the types of things that would have been in that binder that somebody at the palace would have organized for her. What the appropriate way to dress is, how you greet people, what is some slang that is not appropriate, what slang that is appropriate, and that they've kind of thrown protocol out the window, and they've kind of thrown that etiquette out the window because they are so self-consumed and they just wanted the pretty photos so People magazine would talk about how glamorous their trip to Nigeria was.
Are we missing a trick? Is Meghan being a covert feminist here by saying actually I'm going to dress as I like? There's always that story, isn't there, of the Queen when the King of Saudi Arabia visited, and at the time women weren't allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia, so the Queen drove him around in her Land Rover. So are we missing a trick? Are we being unfair on Meghan? Could it be Meghan actually sort of covertly trying to be a feminist here, or am I overanalyzing?
I think you're giving Meghan way too much credit to compare her to Queen Elizabeth II in any way, shape, or form. I think
I'm
Harry and
surprised you
Meghan.
haven't sent me hate mail or daggers for doing that, by the way. I'm
I
surprised
think I
you
think
let me get
that
away with that.
yeah, Harry and Meghan have shown time after time that they have no respect for their elders, and that they have no respect for the monarchy or the customs that come with Meghan, specifically the royal family. I was asked about the king meeting with David Beckham in private on Friday to discuss the King's Foundation, and somebody said, "Can you believe that that the king would meet with David Beckham over Prince Harry?" And I said, David Beckham waited in line for over 12 hours to pay respects to Queen Elizabeth II. Harry refused to see her days before her death. Sometimes it's just sometimes you just appreciate the respect. You appreciate somebody that's considerate and shows
Now,
empathy.
Kinsey, we did hear the intimate details of when Harry visited the late Queen's body in her bedroom after she died in the the opening pages of Spare. So, at least he did visit her at some point, and at least we were given every single inappropriate detail.
Yeah, thanks, Harry. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much, Harry. Really, really nice. So the other thing that she wore was when she went to the polo, and she went for a nude dress, didn't she, when she went to the polo, which that must be a hangover from when she was told not to wear any colours when she was a member of the royal family. Or is this all part of her being quite royal? Is she maybe carrying out some of that protocol by wearing those subdued covers because she is acting royal on this tour? I don't know.
What was interesting, because when she sat down for this speech where she wore red and she was an hour late for these poor women that arrived to listen to her talk about herself, she did say at that speech, when I got here, I realized I was going to have to change my clothing. I was going to have to up my game so I could dress like as colorful and as fashionable as you. Like, as she's sitting there in a strapless, in a spaghetti strap dress. So I mean, verbally, she says she tried to dress differently for this event, for this trip.
God, it's all me, 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 isn't it? I tried to dress differently. I needed to do this. I needed to do that. Good grief, honestly. Was there any reference to any of the women in the room? Was there any reference to, like I say, any of the
Or any of
like
the
you?
Invictus, any of the participants of Invictus that they met throughout their trip, the whole purpose of the trip? Like, why didn't she? That was my argument. When she doesn't have to sit down and be like, everywhere I look, there's a human rights violation. However, I would expect more from Meghan Markle, who wants to complain about Austin Powers, the spy who shagged me, being too racist, which, happened 20 years ago. But I do expect her to sit down and say, I'm so grateful to be here. I just met the most inspiring family. They lost their father. But what they've done with that is they've taken it and now they've started this foundation for him. And that's why we love the Invictus Games. Like, why can it not? Is that so hard? Is that, instead of sitting down going, yeah, I'm 43% Nigerian, I called my mom. Like, who cares? Shut up. Get over yourself.
Didn't you once tell me though that there was a thing about where she was, or maybe it was in the Tom Bower book. You and I have definitely discussed before where she,
Malta? Maltese?
yeah, where firstly her heritage was different to what she was saying it is now, but also wasn't there an occasion where she kind of didn't really reference her heritage?
Well, yeah, I mean, the part in the Tom Bower book is that she reached out as the founder of the TIG and the actors from Suits. She reached out to Elle magazine to try to drum up some publicity for herself, and she said that she'd recently found out about her Maltese heritage, and she wanted to travel to Malta with Elle magazine, and she wanted to write about it. And so Elle sent a photographer along with her, or assigned a photographer to her. She dressed in all the cultural garb. And then it turned out that she, in no way, shape, or form, like, had this heritage that she had claimed she had. So she got the free trip, got all the fantastic
But she did
photos.
have a lovely holiday to Malta. I mean, every cloud.
But nothing came of that. Nothing came of that article. I mean, also,
She's
people can.
amazing. You've got to give her credit. That is quite amazing.
Well,
That
and
is
then you
quite
look at
amazing.
her Hollywood headshot. Her Hollywood headshot says she's Caucasian. If you look at some of the profiles, like Actors Access, and some of these profiles she'd created in LA while she was going to Shakira auditions and things like that. I mean, she has identified as many different races.
Do you know what, Kinsey? I actually think that my family might hail from a luxury resort in Mauritius. So I'm thinking of contacting Vogue to see whether I could go and explore that. I mean, do you think that your family might be from there as well? Maybe you should come with me.
Exactly. I'd love to figure it out. Maybe I can do
Yeah.
the DNA test on the beach. No, I think that, Thomas Markle said it best when he said he was surprised that she was 43% Nigerian, because he always understood her to be 100% Californian. And that's what she is at the end of the day. She's a California girl who has found, a group of people that embrace her and love her, and she is going to cater to them, and that's fine. Like, if she wants to be Nigerian, girl, go be your bad self. Go do it. I don't care, but just acknowledge that I mean, it's just kind of shameless, right? It's the same thing as her, like, draped in Princess Diana's jewelry. You're it's so blatant. You're trying so hard that it's almost exhausting.
Well, that is not the first time, of course, that she's done something like that on a foreign trip, because isn't there also the story in the Tom Bower book of when she went to Rwanda, where they built some wells. I think it was for World Vision that she did this when she was the Suits actress, and she took sort of 7 suitcases full of outfits and did a full photo shoot in Rwanda, and there were sort of people down the road like dying of thirst, desperate for this well, but she's in couture being photographed.
In outfits similar to not only Princess Diana, but Angelina Jolie, because she's always had a very clear vision of how she wants the world to see her. And thank God, Prince Harry was like, yeah, you're cool. I'd like to spend the rest of my life with you, because that is ultimately what elevated her. Now, Harry did have, they say he delivered a heartfelt speech about mental health while in Nigeria. And it was interesting because Meghan then grabs the mic. This was on Friday, to say, you see why I'm married to him? Like, and the crowd ahs and oohs and claps. And then she says, it's so inspiring because he speaks the truth, which is just, like, honestly, if you looked up truth in the dictionary, Harry and Meghan's faces are nowhere to be found. Like,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. In fact, when they would get to that part of the dictionary, it would burst into flames. Unfortunately, if they were holding it. But of course, she had that conversation where she referenced the conversation with Lilibet, which sounds really nice, about how they were talking to each other, and Lilibet made some sort of comment about how I can see myself in you. Lilibet says that to Meghan, and what she was referencing was that obviously she could see the reflection of herself in Meghan's eye, and Meghan is now saying, "Oh, you know, I'm going to cherish that, and it's wonderful, and she can see herself in me, and it's just me, 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 me." That is quite sweet, though.
no, it's because she's not met Thomas Markle. Or she'd say, I see Thomas Markle in your eyes, because Lilibet is the spitting image of her grandfather. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that is very, very true, and there won't be any of Meghan seeing herself in Thomas Markle's eyes, because, of course, she hasn't been anywhere near him, and probably now we're getting on to the best part of a decade.
Oh, it's crazy to me. It's so sad because there's really no hope for those grandbabies ever to meet their grandfather. And he's out there and he's in the world, and one day they're going to be able to access YouTube, and they're going to be able to access these old articles where he talks about yearning for them. And there's going to be real questions asked.
Yeah, that's very true. It is really, really sad, and of course, it is just more demonstrative, really, of how they are ruthless when it comes to their family. They really, really are. And I mean, that ruthlessness, of course, was demonstrated not just by Harry's visit, which we've referenced, but of course by the fact that Meghan did actually do a very small stopover here in London and didn't at all go and visit anyone in the royal family. However, royal enough to go to the Windsor suite in Heathrow Airport, which is, of course, reserved for members of the royal family. When it comes to a luxury suite for your stopover on your way to Nigeria, well, yeah, she's royal enough for that, it seems.
Yeah, and also, just to go back to what you're talking about, wardrobe wise, wore a Windsor dress, a dress known as the Windsor dress, to Nigeria, stop along at the Windsor suite. Her relationship definitely comes with some perks. I don't expect much of her. I wouldn't have even been critical if she came with Harry to the UK, anticipating this trip to Nigeria, and stayed behind at the hotel and didn't do any socializing. I would have understood that. But to literally stand around at the airport, because their pilot was unavailable due to illness, I believe, so they had to wait for another pilot that was on call to arrive to take them to Nigeria. The fact that she just kind of hung out at the airport, I mean, it's such a bizarre look.
Maybe she had some shopping, some duty free she wanted to get hold of. You know, who knows? Maybe she was, maybe she was, I don't know, having a good old route around for some bargains. You can get like the 20% off the perfume there. Maybe she was doing that. I mean, you know, they haven't had any money off Spotify for a while, so maybe it was some bargains. It is a shame, because what they did, and I've said this many times before, and it is again, I think it really demonstrates it, is they have completely abandoned the people in the UK that do like them. And I used to be one of those people. I used to adore them. I used to think that they were so sweet. And what they did when they left the UK was abandon all of the people who were still their fans. And I know that she's scared of being booed. I mean, that is the main thing if she appeared in public. But you would think, bearing in mind that she has always spoken about her close bond with the king, that they would have perhaps tried to have seen him, unless, of course, as we say, we suspected that the because he turned them down, that's why she chose to stay in the Windsor suite. Who knows? But I'm sure it was lovely in there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it was nice and posh, nice and fluffy and comfy in there. Well, what do you think that the next steps are? They've got this beautiful royal tour, fake royal tour footage and video out of the way. Little to no people commenting on the fact that Meghan stopped being a feminist briefly for the tour, or that she was hours late to some of these appearances, which is rude to her hosts. What can they do with this in the States?
I think it's to get back now, you sort of to ride on the crest of the wave of this publicity and get those tea towels in production, get that cheap china in production with their faces on the side, and whatever other cheap tap they're going to try and sell us through American do nothing orchard. And I don't know what they're going to sell. T-shirts, maybe, like we said. I think it was going to be tea sets, gardening equipment,
Yoga
anything
mats,
that. What else?
yoga mats, dog shampoo.
Yoga mats, dog shampoo, and a tea service. I mean, it's a very, very bizarre collection. Maybe she's got some more jam that she
I,
needs to make up. I mean, she did do those 50 jars. That's the most work they've done in a long time.
that's true. I just checked, and American Riviera Orchard is still just the email collection. It's not, it still hasn't launched, still nothing tangible on there for anyone to buy. So, what a weird thing to launch in the middle of the King and Princess of Wales having cancer, and the middle of everybody just so worked up over the health and the future of the monarchy. Meghan Markle launches a website that doesn't do anything. Can't, nothing's available. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
what?
she's holding the pic. Look, they've got to get to it. They've got to make that money because, as Harry himself referenced, as soon as Prince George turns 18, and yeah, Harry is a busted flush, no longer relevant. So they've got to get that money and they've got to get those products sold before then. You know, maybe QVC will be calling soon. Who knows? Maybe they'll be in Walmart. They probably will be in Walmart. They do call her Walmart Wallace. They do call him the Poundland Prince. So there we go. That's their next step, though, to get those products launched, get that cash rolling in.
Well, let us know if you agree with us in the comments below about any of this, but specifically if you think that this Nigerian tour was solely for the purpose of monetizing the monarchy, monetizing their connections to the royal family. Is the jam going to go up for sale later this week? We want to know your thoughts. So drop a comment below. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, and tell your friends about we're talking on YouTube now, so and we're going to do this regularly just for you, so make sure you continue to watch.
And anything you want us to talk about, any aspect of their lives, or indeed the wider family as well, because of course that's related to them, that you want us to discuss, we're more than happy to do that as well, aren't we?
That's right. All right, well, thanks so much for watching. We hope you subscribe, share, and tell a friend. We will see you again next week.
Thank you for listening to My Truth.